Hello, welcome back to our little farm in Portugal. It feels like summer was yesterday and today is autumn.
We're starting to prepare for winter. We're splitting and bringing in firewood.
So we're bringing in the last of the harvest. I've been picking drying beans. There's something about the beginning of autumn or the beginning of any new season that kind of makes you reflect. And as I was picking these beans, I was thinking, God, that was a great night we had last night.
Towards the middle end of October, we'll start needing a fire in the evenings to keep us warm.
We have a pretty full-on social life here. Some of our old friends and family from Ireland and the UK kind of think, oh no, the poor things living out there in the middle of nowhere, so far away from anything. Fair enough, we arrived, we had no friends, but it wasn't long until we made friends. Last night we went to the local Festa, which is like a party in the village. We did something super fun and I'll show you that later on, but for now I need to get back to the harvest. And we're promised rain this week, so that's why I've got to get these drying beans in as quick as I can. The Cherokee Trail of Tear I'm growing as a drying bean. Equally, when you're harvesting them as a shelling bean, many of them are still good enough to eat. This one's fresh and this one's crispy. Still soft and sweet. A little bit dusty. One of the things I found hardest to understand this year was something like these gigantes beans, essentially doing nothing. Shriveled up, miserable looking things. They flowered, let's see. They're still flowering, but they're not getting pollinated. And I think the reason for that, there is barely a flower. Native flower, wildflower, planted flower with flowers. Nothing to attract pollinators. So the more I look around, I see either green foliage or brown grass. I did try and plant nasturtiums and calendula in here. The nasturtiums didn't do so well, basically because I didn't water anything. It's always good to leave a bit of a stalk on the end. It's almost cooked. Yeah, creamy. These are slow, aren't they? Oh, that means I get a kiss.
Huh?
Because I found the colourful corn. He's been flying around with that for 10 minutes. The amaranth is definitely ready now. This is just like the pure miracle plant for growing in extreme drought. It hasn't been watered since I planted them as tiny little seedlings. I watered them in and I watered them again about a week later, and since then I haven't done anything. They're not as tall as they have grown for me in the past. They're the only plant that has grown and provided colour in this straw-coloured landscape. The plan is to gather enough seed today so that I can grow a huge amount of it next year. It's been a bit of an experiment, as with lots of the other plants, to see what can really cope with the heat and the drought. A little less conversation, a little more action. You can eat the leaves of these when they're young, but they get a bit bitter when they're older. This is Amaranth. Wow. There's not a seed left in these. The goldfinches have had everything.
All this pine bark is going to make a great mulch for our trees. It all drops off when I split these logs. These logs have been drying for 9 months now.
Right, Maggie, full bins, full head.
Come November, December, they'll be ready for burning. Keep us warm and toasty over the winter.
My hair is...
Yeah, it's perfect.
Então, boa noite. Vamos jogar ao jogo do prego. O jogo do prego é um jogo tradicional português, em que pelo menos duas ou mais pessoas,
Ok.
nós enterramos um pouquinho o prego, só para começar.
É 20, é? Melhor.
Whoa, more sparks.
As you can see, many people just stay here to watch the game because it's a tradition. Apenas já assistir. É um pormenor. Quando o prego entorta, porque é normal, quando nós falhamos o prego, podemos simplesmente ligar aqui com o botão para ele ficar sempre direito.
So it seems like you're allowed to straighten it. Whoa! Come on!
O jogo acaba apenas quando o prego ficar enterrado, tal como estes aqui. Isto aqui não conta, o que conta é quando o prego está enterrado e nós, por exemplo, passamos aqui o dedo e não sentimos nenhum alto. Aí o jogo acaba.
Come on, Dan. Oh! No, one more. One. Ah!
Yeah, I won.
Oh! Win the wine! Yay! We've had the magnificent amaranth, these squashes, which we haven't decided are a cheeky curry or Hokkaido, and we've had tomatoes and chilies and beans, all sorts of things. The tomatoes we grew many different varieties. We'll be growing these again, traditional Portuguese. These yellow gallinas were fantastic. Principe de Borghese were beyond believable. The best thing about these tomatoes is that they weren't watered very much. They never split. The Borgheses were able to sit on the plant for a long time, long after they'd ripened, and they're still excellent. Slight disappointment was the red pear. They tended to split, but those plum tomatoes got blossom end rot. We fermented, dehydrated, and there hasn't been a tin of tomatoes in our house since start of summer.
You might be wondering where we're actually living. We're not living in this house at the moment. We're living in a rental house nearby.